Today on the Topping Show, Dominion voting machines allegedly have a nationwide glitch. The Supreme Court allows Virginia to purge illegals from their voter rolls. RNC stops Michigan Democrats from counting 168,000 duplicate ballots. Volkswagen Q3 results are in and they're not great. A new video game includes 2 minutes of preaching about pronouns. And the Washington Post passing on a presidential endorsement causes about 250,000 people to cancel their subscription. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day, guys. He's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Go to toppingtechnologies.com to learn more. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going into the business part of the podcast, you have Volkswagen. Well, their Q3 results are in and the profit continues to stumbles about as bad as Stellantis, which is terrible. Remember, Stellantis, their profits down about 50%, revenue down around 42%. They're not doing great, and Volkswagen not venturing much better. This comes to us thanks to the OG search engine, Yahoo, which I was going to say at one point was bigger than Google, believe it or not. They say, quote, Volkswagen Q3 profit tumbles, signaling more woes for global automakers. Although, funny enough, not all of them, because Tesla knocked it out of the park. Last week, their stock jumped by 21.7% because they beat all the analysts and all the expectations for the number of sales and number of units they were to push out, and their profitability skyrocketed yet again. So, not all companies. Now, scrolling down, you can see the sad little stock ticker that is the Volkswagen stock price, which, again, now, this is financial advice, and granted, by the time this video is rendered and uploaded, it'll be different because that's what the stock market does, but currently trading for about $10.14 per share. Now, going to the article, which again is credited to Pross, he says, quote, Volkswagen reported lackluster Q3 results earlier this week on Wednesday. Another sign large automakers are mirrored with softening global demand and competition from Chinese automakers. Or, let's be honest, when you all read that, thanks to Trump, you guys think, Chinese automakers, they're coming for China. Maybe it's just me. Now, they continue saying, quote, for Q3, Volkswagen reported a net operating profit that slid, it slid 42%. Ooh, that's rough. To 2.86 billion euros, which will translate their monopoly money to our monopoly money, which correlates to 3.1 billion US dollars. The revenue fell only 0.5%. Oh, jeez. That is terrible. Their profits crumbled, but the revenue, relatively speaking, is about the same. They say, quote, more worrisome was the operating margin falling 3.6%, down from 6.2% a year ago, with global deliveries down 8.3% to 2.12 million vehicles. They say Volkswagen, which counts Audi, Bentley, and Porsche among its brands. How dare they? They've got Ducati, one of the most fanciest motorcycles out there, as well as Lamborghini. Now, granted, Volkswagen has a huge portfolio, but how could they forget about some of the most exciting ones? Granted, you know me, Porsche's best because they have 3 pedals, also known as manual transmission. Every car should have that by default, obviously, but I partially digress. Now, they say, quote, they are still struggling with high production costs and softening demand, and in China, it's joint venture and under pressure from domestic automakers like BYD and Li Auto, which, yeah, BYD is growing exponentially, and a lot of people are speculating it's going to pass Tesla pretty quick. They already did last quarter, but that was BYD has hybrid sales as well as EV sales. So a lot of people debate, have they really passed Tesla in terms of EV manufacturing? Not yet, but the trend is moving that way. They say, quote, results year to date reflect a challenging market environment and underlining the importance of delivering and performance programs we have launched across the group. This from Arno Altitz, the Volkswagen Group CFO and COO, which, again, it still blows my mind that the CFO of Volkswagen publicly said they have about 24 months to turn the Volkswagen brand around, and it's not viable as a business. And again, that's not the Volkswagen portfolio, that's specifically the Volkswagen brand, which in the Jetta GTI with the stick shift, the GTI with the stick shift, that was iconic. Of course, you know, the Jetta from the good old Fast and Furious films. But yeah, not a lot of people buying. I know 1 or 2 friends have bought Volkswagen, like a VW vehicle the past couple years, and yeah, let's just say the reliability is not great. Now, he continues to say, quote, Volkswagen brand reported an operating margin of only 2% after 9 months. This highlights the urgent need for significant cost reductions and efficiency gains, which that's not going to be easy because they have a pretty big union representative in Europe, and they're actually saying we might go on strike right now. Yeah. They say, quote, Volkswagen maintained its 24-month full-year guidance, which was cut last month. VW said it expects net cash flow from automotive operations would be around 2 billion euros, down from 2.5 billion to 4.5 billion euros previously, with revenue falling by 0.7% to 320 billion euros, which correlates to about 356.7 billion US dollars. You can see one of those funny buses, which maybe they'll finally get to production, maybe, which, granted, most people would say it's an abomination to the original Volkswagen bus because, well, the original one was reliable, cheap, and this one being an EV will not be any of those. They say, quote, Volkswagen also maintained a profit margin forecast of around 5.6% in 2024, down from the prior 6.5 to 7% estimate, which, yeah, that's not good at all. And Tesla's doing like 3x that. They say in China, sales fell 12% year over year, reflecting a weakening demand for its products versus competitors. To shore up its China operations, VW said earlier this year it would partner with China's Xpeng, spelled Xpeng, to produce 2 new electric vehicles with the Volkswagen brand, powered by Xpeng software and EV engineering, which ridiculous. White labeling never works in the long term. Granted, every automotive company has done this for like literally more than half a century. It's not a new thing to slap on your logo with someone else and just pay a royalty, but again, it's not going to help your brand long term. You might get a short sales bump, but no, it's long term not very advantageous. They say, quote, Volkswagen premium brand Audi also announced this year that it has signed a deal with Chinese state-owned SAIC to develop new EVs for the mainland, which, again, you're not going to beat China. I don't think that's going to be good for them. They say Bank of America analyst Horst believes VW is selling EVs at a loss in China until its new EV design by Xpeng will arrive, which, again, when China's BYD, that's one of the most successful automotive brands over there. I don't know if, I really don't know how any foreign automotive company is going to make a profit these days in China or really flourish. Let's just say I'm pretty skeptical to say the least. And again, VW used to make a great product. It used to be, cheap and reliable. And it's really lost most of those value props. It even lost the fun in terms of, most of them used to have three pedals main transmission, which shot by default, obviously. But yeah, I'm not too surprised that, everything's continuing to crumble at VW. Do you know anyone in your life who owns, well, maybe we should clarify, who voluntarily owns, like they didn't inherit one, a VW product, specifically the Volkswagen brand? I know one person I met in the past, no, 2 people I've met in the past 24 months who have had a VW vehicle. And one was very happy and one was very irate. So the ratio is granted anecdotal, very small, sample size, but still doesn't really bode well for the brand. But let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Going to the Culture Prod podcast, you have a video game called Dragon Age. It has about 2 minutes lecturing about pronouns, which, yep, that's great. That's what everyone wants in video games these days. Ha, that's sarcasm. That's obviously BS. That's why pretty much every good video game can be bought on a cartridge, which, granted, I think the last good cartridge system was realistically the Nintendo 64, the OG entertainment console, or video entertainment console. And maybe the last good disc game would be Fallout 3 or Age of Empires 2. Personally, I think those are the best games ever. No, pop-up advertisements, no microtransactions, just good old fun video games. But that's not what we have these days. Nowadays, especially in the video game community, very much dominated by leftists. They want to lecture us and apparently not make much money, because I don't know anyone who's going to buy this rubbish. But let's go ahead and look at this. Now, this comes to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, in which she says, quote, new video game Dragon Age, the Valley Guard, has an entire nearly 2-minute long cutscene of how to apologize if you're using the wrong pronouns or misgender. It also offers options to add cover your ears if you have kids listening. I'll reset this quote. It also offers options to add double mastectomy scars and gender-neutral pronouns to your character. And they're going to be targeting kids with this. Well, this will be painful, but we'll get through it together. So you got what appears to be a guy, not really a suit of armor, more like a Komodo, something like that. They have a girl in a bastardized looking Native American outfit, another mysterious individual, no idea what it is, with horns on their head, and then it looks like maybe an Asian gal. Can't even tell what is that another Komodo? I'm not a fashion aficionado, obviously.
Pounding that snake.
Let's see here.
Pounding that snake's nose. She's still holding the ruby in her other hand. Maker's panties. I was so proud.
Oh,
Ah, shit. They're still holding it. Sorry.
Grammar be damned.
What are you doing?
Pulling a barv.
Oh.
Pulling
Okay.
a barv.
A barv?
Tradition in the Lords of Fortune from one of our old members, Barv. Good guy, but like most of us, his plans went sideways a lot. Bad blood among your crew's not good for morale, but there's not always time for big, drawn-out apologies. So, when one of us screws up and we know we've screwed up, we do a quick 10 to put it right. Pulling a barv.
So you have what appears to be a biological woman doing man push-ups, so that's also unrealistic. So I guess instead of apologizing, you do push-ups. Which, granted, most Americans could do given the state of our health these days, but obviously ridiculous. A barf?
There we go.
Or like a barf. Now it looks like, what is this? The options are, some of those role-playing games, you can have different options to respond. It says, maybe we should use it. And then the other option is self-improvement and exercise. And 3, you're good, Tashi, with a question mark. And option 4 is more. There should be an option 5, turn the council off. Oh, there's more options. So this person's going to say, that's very open-minded. The other option is, you could say, why not just apologize?
I'm glad the Lords of Fortune have Tashi's back.
Oh, Tash isn't the first non-binary member of the Lords.
Really?
It was a little before your time, but Horlicks was one of ours.
Huh.
Bastard looked better than I did in a dress or pants. And out of them, too.
Who's buying this crap?
Any reason you can't just apologize?
Sometimes people say, oops, sorry, and hope that fixes it. But they just want to get the whole thing over with.
Now, the only silver lining to the situation is there is a giant skip button, which I suspect will be used religiously when people play this game. They just want to skip through this.
Trust me, I know. But pulling a barv, you sweat a little. Makes you think about it a little.
You're not going to sweat from doing 3 push-ups. At least you shouldn't if you have a modicum of endurance or health. But I partially digress. You won't get, yeah. You're calling it a barf, more like a barf.
more. Shows the other person you mean it.
What if they mean it when they say they're sorry, though?
And that's the other reason. Some people mess up and get all dramatic. They make it about them. Oh, you know, I didn't mean it right. I'd never do that on purpose. They feel so bad about it that it's on everyone else to smooth it over and make them feel better.
Oh, okay. Yes, some people might do that.
Pulling a barv puts it on the person who screwed up. They made the mess, they fix it, done.
Now,
Pounding that snake.
ironically, the people I was supposed to have that mindset are usually not physically capable of doing more than 2 push-ups. Perhaps why they only did 3 push-ups in this video. But yeah, remember when you just play a video game by turning on and turning off the damn console, not having to deal with 20 minutes of downloading, and updating maps, or microtransactions, and not even being preached to. That's the reason I don't own any modern video game consoles, partially because of time allocation, or rather lack thereof. But yeah, in the very rare occasions where I do actually take time to play a video game, usually like Christmas break, I'll play like a round of Age of Empires 2 in the good old laptop. Or maybe a good old, if I have a guest over, maybe you'll play GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. You just turn on those games and bam, you're playing. You're not preached to, boring, just a lifetime of downloads and updates and, getting your credit card out for microtransactions. Now, this video game will probably sell like hotcakes in San Francisco. Don't get me wrong, there is a market for this. But the market is so small, I would think this is going to have most people to skip over it entirely, if they do buy the game, which I hope they don't, or they're just more realistically not going to buy it because they don't want to be preached to. I mean, the point of these fantasy role-playing games is to escape your life, I would suppose, for a little bit. And yet, no, they're going to be preached to. Yeah, I can't but think this will probably lose money. I don't think they're going to make a profit out of this video game. Now, going to the comments, again, it went pretty viral. Lives TikTok got about 711,000 views and 11,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Elon Musk, who says, quote, "What a travesty," getting 3.3 thousand likes. To which Lives of TikTok responded, saying, quote, "Why can't we just have video games without all the woke garbage?" Getting 1.6 thousand likes, which, again, is their whole cult. Arthur Eagleman says, quote, "The woke mind virus has spread to video games, question mark," getting 1.1 thousand likes, which, again, that's not really new. We've known that for several years. I mean, what was it, a couple months ago where Halo came out for a Pride event, or they had a Pride post on the, not LinkedIn, the X Twitter. Planet of Memes did in fact respond to meme forums, say, quote, "Here you go." And this picture of Mario, but the Mario character is a fat, obese African-American woman in a wheelchair. which is obviously ridiculous. She's missing the blue hair, obviously. Now, that did get 1.2 thousand likes. Wall Street Silver says, quote, so much soy has infiltrated the video game industry, getting 584 likes. The Texas one says, quote, in 48 years, I've never misgendered anyone. Some may not like what I call them, but I've never been wrong, getting 494 likes. Chuck Costello says, quote, we have a lot of work to do, getting 140 likes. AKA says, give me a break, getting 210 likes. Paul Zupa says, quote, the indoctrination is everywhere, make it stop, getting 74 likes. Yeah, remember when they said they're not going after your kids? Yeah, about that. Cool Christian Engineer says, another trash game, getting 43 likes. The Traditional Rebellion says, quote, the slope was slippery indeed. This little picture says the slippery slope, and it has some caricatures. One says, let us get married, bake our cake, use our pronouns, allow minors to dance for us in drag shows, and let teachers choose your kid's gender, getting 373 likes. And another reminder to leave California, which again, Gavin Newsom passed a law saying, oh yeah, teachers are allowed to do the whole gender thing with their kids, and they have no burden to tell parents. Quite concerning to say the least. RDX says, quote, how do you apologize to the investors for losing them money? Getting 328 likes. Good question. Lori Ann says, why would you need 2 minutes to say that the wrong pronoun? It's that easy. You use the wrong pronoun, them. I don't give a shit, me. There you go. A whole conversation. Getting 506 likes, which, yeah, grammar teachers must be rolling in their grave. At least mine when I was from my childhood. Because, yeah, again, they're still using the singular pronoun for they, them, which grammatically means multiple people. Not sure how they claim that on their taxes. Perhaps that's advantageous. Now, other top comments come from the conservative alternative saying, quote, in this economy, it'll be nice to have an excuse to not drop $60 on a new video game. It's almost like the studios are trying to save us money, getting 130 likes. Let's see. The Traditional Bear Rebellion also says it's all demonic, and it's a picture of a drag queen inside a sewer. What is it, the sewer grate? Says, it's okay, I just want to read you a story about cutting off my private part. Getting 177 likes. Kyle Becker says, quote, I'm so tired of this cringy bullcrap, getting 563 likes. Which, I'm not seeing too many contrarian statements here. Granted, again, there are millions of Americans who think this is a brilliant idea, it's brave, they would say, and they'll probably buy the video game. Actually, no, I take back that last part. I can't think they probably won't buy that video game. And let me know, do you think this video game will actually be financially viable? Will it make them any money at all? Or do you think it's just a loss leader, they really don't care? Now, you also have cryptologists saying, quote, this is Ubisoft, pretty much every video game company now. And of course, yeah, Ubisoft in 2007, you have, traditional looking folks. Then in 2014, they're a lot of non-binary and liberal white women. Yep. But let me know, do you think this video game will, eventually make them millions of dollars overnight? Are you going to go out and pay for it? Let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Going to the political part podcast, you have Dominion voting machines nationwide having a glitch, alleged to the Michigan Secretary of State. Definitely add the word alleged 15 times, because, yeah, we would never insinuate that Dominion voting machines are anything but perfect. Even though they're electronic, and by the very nature, anything electronic can be hacked. But I partially digress. Now, going to the post, you actually have this coming from Nick Sorter, who says, quote, new Michigan Secretary of State Jacqueline Benson says there is a nationwide issue with Dominion voter access terminals, preventing votes from making certain selections. Of course there is. According to her office, this programming issue cannot be fixed, and voters are being forced to deal with it. Why does this quote-unquote issue not get caught during the testing period, and why can't we just use paper ballots? And this one probably got 2 million views. Let's see, pull this up here and see what she has to say.
Issues with the programming of the VATs with specifically
Yes.
from Dominion.
Mm-hmm.
Why was that only caught in the past few days, and why can't it be fixed? I saw the release.
Yeah, this is a nationwide issue with Dominion voter access terminals in the counties that use them. And the voter access terminals, of course, not all the machines, just the ones that are accessible, have an issue with the straight party voting and a programming issue that's, again, affected the machines nationwide. And I think all of us that use Dominion machines were unhappy to learn about this during the testing period and as early voting began. So we're working with Dominion to seek accountability on that front, and also are working with our clerks to ensure voters are aware of this programming issue that will require them to ensure they are voting every section on the ballot.
Do you think it's a bigger issue in Michigan because we do allow voters to cross over in ways that a lot of other states don't?
because we have straight party. It's not struck me as I've talked to my other colleagues in other states. They're just as upset about it as we are. So
Sure.
yeah, or surprised. I think. Yeah.
Yep. Why am I not surprised? Got 2 million views again, 36,000 likes. When the first comments coming from Gunther Eagleman, who says, "quote Why am I not surprised?" Gained 1.2 thousand likes. You have Nick sort of responding to him, saying, "quote It's always demeaning, and somehow Michigan always ends up effed up elections. Coincidence?" Gained 2.1 thousand likes. Costello says, "quote Paper ballots would have no issue." Gained 785 likes. Nick sort of responded, saying, "quote Why do they keep messing with the software of these machines? What's up with that? What are they doing?" Getting 637 likes. Good question. Liz Churchill says, quote "This is horrific. They're not even hiding it." Getting 886 likes. To which he responded, saying, quote "Nope, because they've never been held accountable. What do they have to worry about?" Getting 849 likes. True. Although they might be called, to DC to testify, and they might get the wrist, get a slap on the wrist from some, some Republicans in DC. Yeah. Also known as just pandering or virtue signaling. I mean, just being held accountable, that's pretty rare these days. Well, depending on what side of political aisle you're on. Junita Broderick says, quote "Paper ballots, one-day voter ID, so simple." Getting 4.5 thousand likes, which, yep. Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, so few Americans have any confidence in the voting system these days. Of all the BS holidays we have from the federal government, I'm usually in favor of not getting a single additional one because there's so many BS ones. So, if you actually were to have one that really matters in terms of adding a new one, I would be in favor of a federal voting day where everyone just takes the day off. And granted, it's not going to take you the whole day. So if you have a service industry, you can do, people covering the shifts and stuff like that. But you just have a national day off. Everyone goes, everyone votes, all paper ballots. You all count them the same day. You're not like Maricopa County taking 10 to 13 days to count the votes, which means they're either woefully inept or corrupt. I can't decide which is worse, or you can decide in the comments, let me know. But yeah, let's see. Nick sort of responded saying, quote, "But then it'd be hard for them to cheat," getting 2.2 thousand likes. Like a Chippyson says, quote, "Will someone tell me why Dominion was not barred from the election after last time?" Getting 2.1 thousand likes. Nick sort of responded saying, quote, "Why insist on using a company with a huge swath of Americans don't trust, especially when it comes to exercising their most sacred right?" Getting 1.2 thousand likes. AKA says, "Why are we still using this crap?" Getting 157 likes, which, I mean, government contracts is one of those things where once you get the contract, simply put, you're on that contract for quite some time. It's pretty hard to kind of displace them. So if I were to guess, I'd say they've had these contracts long in place to be used for a myriad of voting activities or elections. So again, unless there's a competitor that's going to come out somewhere, and again, I'm not sure how much, not just physical, but real infrastructure you need to compete with them. I mean, I'm not sure how many options there really are. Now you also have, let's see, Naomi Sheepit saying, quote, it is disastrously easy to manipulate a single line of code and produce different results. Why are we trying to provoke us of working?" 879 likes. Nick sort of responded saying, quote, "My basic concern is that apparently Dominion pushed some sort of last-second software update to machines across the country. It'd be super easy for a malicious actor to take advantage of that." Getting 791 likes, which, yep. Let's see. Isa says paper ballots are the only way, getting 308 likes. Which, let's see here. I'm not seeing much I'm not seeing a lot of contrarian statements here. You have, let's see. Robert the Builder said, quote, "Here we go again, folks." It's a Photoshop picture of Hillary Clinton in a moving truck or FedEx truck, which obviously, it's fake because, she's never done anything in terms of modicum of, real effort or a real job or contributing to society. So, it's, Photoshop for her to look like a FedEx employee, which actually contributes to society and serves its purpose. Though I should say, coincidentally enough, Hillary Clinton is definitely a wise, intelligent, beautiful woman. Has definitely not had a disproportionate amount of people who are around her who have committed suicide, like 28 people or something like that. And I plan to live a long and fulfilling life. Just coincidentally, I want to throw that out there today. Now, the picture of the Photoshop picture of Hillary saying just getting ready to drop out the rest of the ballots got 47 likes. Wayne says, quote, "We knew it would happen again. It looks like a city on fire, like a model of a city on fire." And some folks in DC say safe, and they're saying safe and secure Dominion voting machines, getting 18 likes. Let's see. The best one is a Photoshop picture of Kamala Harris, where she's pretending to be Princess Leia from the Star Trek thing. Kidding, I know it's Star Wars, but instead of R2-D2 saying, "Help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope," the new text says, "Help me, Dominion, you're my only hope." Getting 20 likes. I should get more likes. I think that's funny, Star Wars parody like that. And that is thanks to Alistair Chischem. Here. Hey says, quote, so my guess is they can't pick Republican candidates, getting 11 likes. It is fascinating how all these quote-unquote errors mysteriously always are advantageous to one political party. It's a very interesting coincidence. And I mean, at this point, the election is days away. I don't think it's conceivable for another business to come in and take over the voting machines in terms of having an alternative solution. I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of lawsuits after the election, like there is every election since the Gore election, or what was it? It was the Al Gore election way back in the day. And again, since then, Republicans and Democrats have been suing each other ever since. So I suspect this will be part of a myriad of lawsuits. We'll see if anyone. I mean, Fox News lost. What was it? Is the largest settlement in media history. I believe it was about $750 million settlement to Dominion when Fox News and their anchors, said how they didn't think Dominion voting machines were secure. Again, it wasn't proven in court one way or another. It was settled outside of court. But again, it was also settled for I think it was $750 million, the largest media settlement in history. And it'll be interesting. I mean, they're saying this is a nationwide glitch. And again, fascinating how these glitch. Remember at Amazon Alexa, when you asked her, give me some reasons to vote for Donald Trump, the little Alexa robot would say, oh, I can't give you political things. And then when you say, give me reasons to vote for Kamala Harris, they said it was because she was a woman and African American. Which is also pretty disrespectful, or your lack of accomplishments, or just your character, or not your character actually, just where your background is from, not actual, things you achieved. Granted, it's a pretty short resume for her, but yeah, then they only after pushback did Amazon say, oh yeah, it was just a coincidence. We're sorry, we corrected that error. So now they'll actually say, if you give me reasons to vote for Kamala Harris, they'll say we don't give political advice, stuff like that. So let me know, do you think Dominion, at the end of the day, will they be sued? Will they be successfully sued? Do you think it's an honest mistake, just a little glitch in the code? Let me know your opinions, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have the Supreme Court allowing Virginia to purge illegals from voting rolls after they were previously being forced to do so. Now, this comes to us thanks to the Associated Press. This is specifically by Mark Sherman and Denise Levy, who are writers over there. And they say, quote, Supreme Court's, I love how they twist spin on this because of the evil conservatives. So they say, Supreme Court's conservative justices leave in place Virginia's purge of voter registrations, which, again, it's because they're illegals. They're not supposed to be on the ballot. Now, thank God for Supreme Court, because, again, it's just almost, I was about to say unfathomable how much they cheat being leftists, but no, this happens so often we should not be surprised. But there's a nationwide issue where you have illegals, again, a lot, 11 million illegals the past 43 months now to come to the United States, and a lot of them are starting to register to vote. Who would have thunk it? Oh yes, pretty much anyone with modicum intelligence. Now, the issue is, with most states, they have a law provision that says if you register to vote, you cannot be removed from the ballot if it's 90 days before the election. So Democrats are using that justification to say, oh yeah, just because they're legal, it doesn't mean you can't take them off the ballot. Because of this law that says you can't take anyone off the ballot or take anyone away from the voting capabilities if it's within 90 days of the election. Now, thank God the Supreme Court said, well, these people are illegal, so they're not supposed to be allowed to vote. So yeah, we're going to allow you to do this, obviously. It's quite concerning so many people were rooting for it to go the other way, though. Now, they say, quote, the justices acted on Virginia's appeal from a federal judge found that the state illegally purged more than 1,600 voter registrations in the past 2 months. A federal appeals court had previously allowed the judge order to remain in effect. The specter of immigrants voting illegally have been the main part of the political messaging this year from former President Donald Trump and other Republicans. And you say, oh, this is funny. They say, even though it's rare in American elections. Trump has criticized the earlier ruling, calling it a totally unacceptable travesty on social media. Only U.S. citizens should be allowed to vote, Trump said, which, again, the fact that people are disagreeing with him is ridiculous to say the least. They say, quote, Youngkin said voters who believe they were improperly removed from the rolls can still vote in the election because Virginia has same-day registration. He says, quote, and so there is the ultimate safeguard in Virginia. No one is being precluded from voting, and therefore I encourage every single citizen to go vote. They say the option was noted also by the campaign Vice President Kamala Harris, the Democrat nominee for the White House. Which, yeah, I don't think anyone should be surprised this is happening. And again, I can't think of a single justification why you want illegals to vote in our federal elections, or any election for that matter. And again, a lot of people are saying, well, yeah, this is why they allowed 11 million illegals in the U.S., because they want them to vote. And thankfully, the Supreme Court is saying, all right, we're going to allow you to disbar them from voting, because obviously it's illegal for them to vote. Now, it'll be interesting to see how often does this happen? Does it spread to other states? And just how much of an impact could it have on the election? But as always, let me know in the comments your thoughts, because I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have the RNC stopping Michigan Democrats from counting 168,000 duplicate ballots, which I don't know I'm actually pretty shocked that the RNC did something productive. I need to take this article, maybe print it and frame it, because that's so damn rare. Again, it's ridiculous that Republicans had the House, the Senate, as well as the White House, and they could not repeal the NFA, also known as the National Firearms Act, of 1934. Complete unconstitutional piece of trash law, and yet, almost 100 years, they can't get that repealed. Pathetic, to say the least. That's why I'm always pretty skeptical in terms of Republicans actually doing something. Now, this comes to us thanks to DC Drano, which he says, quote, wow, the RNC just stopped Michigan Democrats from counting 168,000 duplicate ballots. The report was posted 4 hours ago, and the RNC acted that quickly to fix it. This is so much better than 2020 under Mitt Romney, which, yeah, that guy is one of the best examples of a rhino, pejoratively known as Republican in name only. Now, he actually is responding to Laura Trump, in which she said, let me pull that up really quick. She says, quote, our election integrity team received reports of thousands of duplicate ballots in Michigan. We immediately investigated and confirmed that it was a glitch in the system. These duplicates were not and will not be counted. We are here and protecting the vote. And this is from a Rasmussen report. And say Michigan, one voter ID, one voter ID, a single voter ID had 29 separate votes already. Yeah, nothing wrong here, so look away, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, here's a screenshot of that. Wow. 20, jeez Louise. Just another rant. This is another coincidental glitch that helped Democrats. Yeah. And fascinatingly enough, a lot of them have the same exact address, and they just give this individual dozens of votes. Ridiculous, to say the least. That's my pre-roll I got with 2.7 million views and 50,000 likes. Quite a few to say the least. Now, DC Drano got 1 million views for his post. My first comments comes from Chuck Costello saying, quote, this is what it looks like when leadership is actually acting. Rana had to have it on their side. Getting 757 likes. AKA says good stuff, getting 72 likes. Texas Dog Dad says, quote, it's not a glitch. They just got caught. That's all. It's time to be vigilant. Do not let them cheat. Do not let them disenfranchise conservatives. Getting 432 likes. Rapid Sloth, which a little contrarian of a name there. Sloths are known to be slow, but nevertheless, this alleged little Rapid Sloth, this is, quote, the official GIF for the DNC party. There you see a little graph where, again, last 2020 election, you had the nice consistent curve of Republican votes, and then you had all of a sudden the DNC 3 in the morning, just bam, shoots up all the votes, and all of a sudden Trump lost. And you have a GIF of a DNC, was it NPC person or NPR person? It has like it looks like one of those old-fashioned ringers for clothes, which definitely dated myself. And instead of ringing clothes, just cranking it out, and it's shooting out votes. Got 271 likes. House Payne Band says, quote, wow, this alone should give us the right to demand audits everywhere Trump loses. I wonder what percentage of duplicates were Kamala votes. Good question. Got 440 likes. Probably most of them. Derek Evans says, quote, isn't it funny how every time there's a mistake, it is in the benefit of Democrats? Getting 417 likes and a good question. One bad dude says, this is the RNC we needed the whole time. Ronna Romney was never the answer. Got 400 likes, which, yeah, thank God she's out. Oh, 402 likes. Went up before our eyes like a stock market price. Which, yeah, I'll never forget Vivek, during the Republican primary, he was talking to Rana, and there's multiple losses, and he asked her, like, hey, did you know, like, why do you think we lost this area? And she didn't realize that they lost, which is quite pathetic. Scrolling down more and more. Yeah, Weenie Waiting saying, quote, expect a big cheat from the fake kidnap victim. Which, yeah, remember that Michigan was Michigan governor? They had a fake kidnapping, which they blamed on far-right extremists, which turned out to be, no, it was actually FBI guys. Let's see, I believe that's her as well as Kamala at a bar saying, quote, we're just planning our duplicate ballot strategy in Michigan. Getting 37 likes. Also has yeah, it's not real. No one ever actually have a billboard of this. It's Weenie also has a little AI generated picture of a billboard, says Unreal. And the billboard has a ballot box on fire, says Democrats always cheat, getting 119 likes. Syndexia, American Truther, says, quote, this is what happens when there are real patriots working for America. Thank you, Laura Trump. Got 161 likes. We also have the real T-Pain. Really? I didn't know that rapper is still around. This must be the real T-Pain. Although the description is millennial conservative who hates the hypocrisy coming out of today's Democrat Party. I don't know if that's truly the real T-Pain. Probably not. But nevertheless, this alleged real T-Pain says, quote, if it weren't for Musk buying out Twitter, they'd be getting away with it. The only reason cheating isn't as bad as it could be is because the man spent $44 billion to protect free speech, gained 160 likes, which, yeah, it's funny. Fiscally speaking, I mean, Twitter, especially in short term, is one of the worst decisions Elon's ever made. In terms of gifts to humanity and having a positive impact on the world, I would argue that's actually one of the biggest things he's done in his career. You also have someone by the name of Gina Fauci who says, quote, that could be the difference in the state getting 113 likes, which, yep, some states are a very low margin of error. Let's see. Adam Productions says, quote, oh, that's a good one. They did a nickname for her. Instead of Ronna McDaniel, it's Ronna McRhino. Good choice. He says Ronna McRhino should have been thrown off of the GOP a long time ago, getting 65 likes, which, yep, she definitely should have. Granted, that's a lot of people at RNC. So many of these useless rhinos. Fascinatingly enough, I almost respect Democrats more because how many times has been a Democrat who actually turns out to vote Republican? Fascinatingly enough, really doesn't happen. You have Fawad Hassin saying, quote, swift action like this boosts faith in election integrity, mistakes corrected, transparency restored. That's how trust is earned. Getting 74 likes, which, I mean, I don't know how much. Don't get me wrong, it is fantastic. It is good we caught this before it's too late, so to say. But yeah, I can't help but think in terms of bolstering confidence in the system. I think if anything, you just say this the same. I don't think it actually increases confidence in the system. So if you think differently, obviously, of course, let me know in the comments. Going through all the major comments here, I'm not seeing any contrarian statements. And I can't help but think we're going to see a lot more of this during the election season. And yeah, it's funny how, again, none of these quote-unquote errors or glitches are never in favor of Republicans. It's always in favor of Democrats. And who knows, maybe we'll be surprised. No, I was going to say, no, we probably won't be surprised if there's any glitches in terms of, oh yeah, maybe it'll help out Republicans. No, it never has. I suspect it never will. But let me know how many more of these duplicate ballots do you think we had? I mean, it's fantastic investigative reporting. I remember after the 2020 election, you had a conservative commentator and podcaster, stand-up comedian, Steven Crowder. They actually drove to a bunch of the registration addresses of people in Michigan, and they turned out to be empty lots, which, yeah, that seems a little fishy to say the least. But let me know your thoughts are in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Washington Post. Well, they got about 250,000 cancellations after they refused to do a presidential endorsement. Now, usually when it comes to businesses, I'm pretty much always in favor of getting out of politics. Because, again, inevitably, you're going to offend about half of the U.S. population. And, I mean, people are becoming more and more dug into their political feelings. They're becoming much more disgruntled or unfavored to the opposite side, which doesn't bode well for our country long term. Now, in terms of businesses, again, you're going to alienate about half your prospective clients. So I would say more often than not, probably good to, not say anything at all when it comes to politics. Now, that being said, there are some exceptions. When you're a political, let's say you're a conservative podcast company like Daily Wire, that makes sense that we would endorse, Republican candidates and people with conservative values. That makes sense. That's your core audience. That's your customers. That's the niche you chose to go after. Now, in terms of Washington Post, I'm actually going to call this a business blunder. Now, they chose to have no presidential endorsement. Now, for decades, you would call them, well, not for decades, past couple years especially, I would say, they'd be known as a far left, a leftist publication. I mean, they're owned by Jeff Bezos, who bought them out a couple of years ago. And, I mean, the only people I know who really read them are people who, well, like myself, try to find as much information as possible, both left, right, and middle. But, I mean, the average reader at, Washington Post, they're going to be much more left on average. So they're really, and by not making a presidential endorsement, they're making a lot of those leftists irate, which is why I think they've lost, again, so many subscribers. Now, this is written thanks to Liam over at CNN Business, which somehow still in business, which he says, quote, more than 250,000 Washington Post readers cancel subscriptions in revolt or non-endorsement. There you can see the outside of their building there, which, pretty good granite building. It might be the might be the nicest thing about the publication. Now, according to the article, they say, quote, more than 250,000 Washington Post readers have canceled their subscriptions since the newspaper announced last week it would not make an endorsement in the presidential race, leading to a huge spike in cancellations, which, again, a lot of businesses, I mean, it makes sense for politicians, they make endorsements all the time, but a lot of businesses are making more and more endorsements. Netflix CEO, co-founder Reed, I would say foolishly, he actually endorsed Kamala Harris, and their cancellation rate increased by 3x, which that's quite a bit. But again, a lot of people have Netflix who are on the left and the right. It's not too politically bifurcated. Washington Post, though, mostly leftists who worship them. Now, they say, quote, the endorsement decision first announced by Post publisher Will Lewis resulted in the newspaper losing, 10% of its digital subscribers by Tuesday that evening. So then one day, bam. The paper reported, citing documents and two people familiar with the figures. The number did not take into account any new subscribers during the post that may have added since the same time period, which maybe you gain one or two people who are kind of middle of the aisle politically speaking who will appreciate that they're at least attempting to look like they get out in politics. Now, what I suspect more realistically is that they just know Kamala Harris is not very popular at all. And the only people who are voting for Kamala Harris, on average, are just people who will, quote unquote, vote blue no matter who, which is a huge motto of the political party. They actually don't like her individually. Truth be told, I think Biden would have had a better odds of actually beating Donald Trump this election. I think there's a lot of people in the Democratic Party who are maybe upset that they pushed Biden out unceremoniously and basically forced him out and then pulled in Kamala Harris. Now, they say, quote, readers and former Post staffers, including former executive editor Marty Baron, have labeled the decision as craven and cowardly, seeing it as a move to attempt by billionaire Post owner Jeff Bezos, an attempt to preventively bend the knee to a possible second Trump administration. Person with the matter told CNN that the endorsement of Harris has been drafted by the Post editorial board members before it is squashed by Bezos. Which, I was going to say, yeah, long term, maybe he wants to get out of politics, wants to be more of a center-leading publication, but again, that's going to take decades. I mean, CNN recently, they created so bad they actually bought out by another company. They're trying to be less leftist. I mean, so much of the culture is just entrenched in so many people. I'm not sure how realistic it is to actually get that kind of put into action. But again, 250,000 subscribers and 10% of their online subscribers just canceled basically overnight because they decided not to do any endorsement. Again, for the average person who tunes into the Washington Post, I think they probably would have, they were looking for that endorsement, as silly as that might sound. So I gotta say, Washington Post, that lack of endorsement, gotta say, especially in the short term, that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.